Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. And in this video we're going to talk about To Kill a Mockingbird, written by Harper Lee. So if you've read this book, or you just want to learn more about it, stick around. Oh, and before we start, I have a request. Please subscribe to the channel so that you can receive notifications every time we upload a new video. All right, let's begin. We'll start with a summary of the plot, followed by some important literary devices used in the novel. Then we'll finish with the main characters, and finally with some quotes. But remember that you can find all the summaries and analyses of the books you're reading on our website. To Kill a Mockingbird is narrated by Scout Finch, a young girl growing up in the fictional town of Macomb, Alabama during the 1930s. The story is set in the Depression era and explores themes of racial prejudice, justice, and childhood innocence. At the beginning of the novel, Scout narrates how she and her brother Jem were fascinated by their neighbor, Boo Radley, an extremely reclusive man who never left his house. According to local legend, Boo had killed his father when he was just 15 years old and had been locked up ever since. Scout and Jem spend most of their childhood trying to lure Boo out of his house, but he remains hidden until the end of the novel. One day, Scout and Jem are playing near the Radley house when they find a pair of scissors. Jem becomes convinced that Boo is trying to communicate with them and begins leaving messages in the fence of the Radley yard. However, when Jem is nearly shot by the mysterious figure, Scout and Jem's father, Atticus, tells them to stay away from the Radleys. Meanwhile, another major storyline develops around the trial of Tom Robinson, a black man who has been accused of assaulting a white woman. Despite overwhelming evidence of his innocence, Tom is convicted by an all-white jury. Atticus defends Tom because he believes that it is his duty as a lawyer to do the right thing, even if it means making unpopular decisions. Although Atticus wins the case in court, Tom is still sentenced to prison and later shot while trying to escape. As the trial progresses, Scout and Jem's view of the world and its prejudices is increasingly challenged. They also face taunts and threats from other children because their father is defending a black man. Scout learns valuable lessons about empathy and tolerance from her father, who teaches her to walk in another person's shoes before judging them. During the trial, Scout and Jem's Aunt Alexandra tries to persuade Scout to be more feminine and less tomboyish. Scout resists these efforts, however, and continues to explore the world on her own terms. In the end, Scout and Jem discover that Boo Radley had saved them from an attack by another character, Bob Ewell, who had become enraged after losing a court case against Atticus. Boo kills Bob Ewell in self-defense and then disappears. Sheriff Tate covers up the incident to protect Boo from further harm, and Atticus supports the decision. Scout comes to understand the importance of empathy and tolerance. She also learns about the power of good people to make a difference in the world despite the presence of hatred and prejudice. Now let's move on to some of the important literary devices used in the novel. The first one is point of view. As mentioned before, the story is narrated by Scout, whose childlike perspective provides a unique insight into the events that unfold around her. Scout's innocent observations expose the hypocrisy and irrationality of the adult world. For example, Scout doesn't understand why people would treat Tom Robinson differently because of his skin color. Her perspective allows readers to see the prejudice and injustice present in Macomb society through a more innocent lens. The second important literary device is symbolism. One of the most significant symbols in the novel is the mockingbird. Throughout the story, several characters, including Atticus, compare certain individuals to mockingbirds because they symbolize innocence and purity. For example, Tom Robinson is described as a mockingbird because he is a good person who has been wrongly accused and persecuted. Similarly, Boo Radley can also be seen as a mockingbird as he is a misunderstood and marginalized member of society who is ultimately harmless. By using the mockingbird as a symbol, Lee emphasizes the importance of protecting and respecting those who are vulnerable and innocent. Another important aspect of the novel is the theme of childhood innocence. Scout and Jem's journey throughout the story is marked by both positive and negative experiences that shape their understanding of the world. As they encounter various challenges and learn about the complexities of society, their innocence is gradually lost. For example, Scout's realization that Boo Radley is not a monster but a real person with feelings is a significant moment in her development. Similarly, Jem's disillusionment after Tom Robinson's conviction highlights the harsh realities of racial prejudice in the American South. Overall, the novel explores the importance of preserving childhood innocence while acknowledging the inevitable challenges that children face in an imperfect world. Moving on to the next important literary device, we have setting. The story is set in the fictional town of Macomb, Alabama, during the 1930s. The Great Depression era and the racially charged atmosphere of the American South play a significant role in shaping the novel as themes and characters. Macomb itself is portrayed as a small, isolated community with its own unique culture and traditions, which contribute to the novel's sense of place. Now let's talk about some of the main characters in To Kill a Mockingbird. First up is Scout Finch, the protagonist of the novel and the narrator. Scout is a tomboyish and curious young girl who doesn't conform to the gender roles expected of her in her society. She is smart, quick-witted and innocent, and her perspective provides a unique insight into the events that unfold around her. Next, we have Atticus Finch, Scout and Jem's father. Atticus is a lawyer who defends Tom Robinson, a black man accused of assaulting a white woman. He is a moral and courageous man who stands up for what he believes in, despite facing opposition and threats from his community. Atticus is a role model for his children and the other characters in the novel, embodying qualities such as justice, integrity, and compassion. Then there's Jem, Scout's older brother. Jem is a curious and adventurous boy who, like Scout, is eager to learn about the world around him. He is initially more conforming than Scout, but he also faces challenges to his innocence as the novel progresses. Another important character is Boo Radley, a mysterious recluse who lives in the neighborhood of Scout and Jem. Boo is the subject of local legend and rumors, and his behavior only adds to the mystery surrounding him. However, as the story unfolds, Scout and Jem discover that he is not a monster, as he is portrayed by others, but rather a kind and gentle person. And finally, we have Tom Robinson, a black man who is falsely accused of assaulting a white woman. Tom is an innocent and hard-working man who becomes a victim of racial prejudice and discrimination in Macomb. His trial and subsequent fate serve as a central plot point in the novel, highlighting the injustices faced by black people in the American South during the early 20th century. Now let's finish with some quotes from the novel. Here is the first one. "You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it." This quote is spoken by Atticus to Scout, and it is one of the most famous lines in the novel. It highlights the importance of empathy and understanding in overcoming prejudice and injustice. By encouraging Scout to walk in another person's shoes, Atticus teaches her the value of considering different perspectives before forming judgments. Here is the second quote. "It was the same kind of hot, humid day. I was beginning to feel uncomfortable. Then I saw a mockingbird sitting on the lawn. That was my first real look at a mockingbird. He was fronting me. I was so engrossed with the bird that I didn't hear him shift from the tree behind me until I heard his voice. 'Hey, you there!' This passage describes Scout's first encounter with a mockingbird, and it is an important moment in the novel because the mockingbird symbolizes innocence and purity. Scout's fascination with the mockingbird reflects her childlike curiosity and wonder. but it also foreshadows the novel's exploration of the importance of protecting and respecting those who are vulnerable. And here is the last quote for today. "There are some men in this world who would kill a mockingbird if they could get their hands on its eggs." This line is spoken by Atticus, and it is a powerful metaphor for the destructive potential of prejudice and discrimination. The mockingbird represents those who are innocent and harmless, such as Tom Robinson and Boo Radley, and the men who would kill the mockingbird symbolize those who seek to harm or persecute innocent people simply because they are different or marginalized. All right, folks, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so that you can receive notifications every time we upload a new video. Thanks for watching and see you soon.